Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today I'll be talking about DeShaun Watson. Are the Texans going to really trade him? Should the Jets trade for him? And so much more. But before we get started today, I just wanted to mention you can follow me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY if you haven't already. And you can also subscribe to the podcast. New episodes are coming out Mondays now. We're moving it back to the original day because there's no more football for the New York Jets. So back to Monday, new episodes on the podcast. So all day long, there's been rumors about DeShaun Watson and maybe asking for a trade this offseason. Now, that would be absolutely huge because it's very rare that you see a quarterback leave a team in his prime that is really good. No argument could be made against DeShaun Watson not being a top 5 quarterback. He is an elite level quarterback in this league. And if he's looking to force his way out after terrible management by the Texans, I mean, having to deal with Bill O'Brien was bad enough, but now bringing in another Patriots guy, there's rumors that they could even potentially be looking to bring in Matt Patricia and as a coordinator and Adam Gase as a coordinator to go along with someone like Josh McDaniels. That seems really sketchy. I would not like that either if I was DeShaun Watson. And if he was really upset about having a career year and playing on an awful team, maybe he's looking to force his way out. That's the rumor at least. So let's talk it through. What would it take? Why are they going to trade him? All that kind of stuff. So again, I don't necessarily think this is a super likely scenario, but it's definitely worth talking through. So the Texans are over the cap by $17 million in 2021. They're going to have to relieve salary in some capacity. And obviously, trading away DeShaun Watson eventually will do that. It's just, do you want to give up on a 25-year-old franchise quarterback? I wouldn't, but let's play the game that they do. So another issue in terms of also being over the cap is they have no draft capital. They don't have any first rounders this year. They don't have any second rounders this year because of the Laramie Tunsil trade. So that is also problematic for rebuilding. So if they want to rebuild, they could trade DeShaun Watson for a haul of picks. And SNY put out a potential package, and that package was the Jets would get DeShaun Watson, and the Texans would get both the Jets' first-round picks this year, so the number 2 pick and wherever Seattle ends up, a 5th-round pick this year, and a 2022 third-round pick. And I cannot express enough how quickly I would pull the trigger on that. Absolutely, I would pull it for 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick this year, and a 5th-round pick in the next year for a top 5 quarterback on a really good deal next year. Hell yeah, give me that any second of the day. You're hoping that Justin Fields or Zach Wilson becomes as good as DeShaun Watson. But Watson's a sure thing in his prime. It's not like you're bringing in a 30-something-year-old quarterback. He's 25 coming off a phenomenal season. And I know that would mean the Jets wouldn't have any first-round picks for this year, but you could also then trade Sam Darnold for a second-round pick. Again, someone's going to overpay for a quarterback. It happens all the time, and someone's going to want to give up a second-round pick. Let's say it's San Francisco. You trade Darnold to San Francisco. Now you have 2 seconds, 2 thirds, 2 fourths if Leonard Williams re-signs with the Giants, which I think is likely. If not, it'll be 1 fourth and 2 fifths. And you still have a ton of cap space. The Jets would still have a boatload of cap space. They have $80 million as it stands now. They can move on from Henry Anderson. You can cut some other players as well and create some more cap room. Maybe Alex Lewis as a cut, someone like that. And then you continue to grow that number. Not many teams have $80 million of cap space anyway. And you still have the draft picks, 2 first rounders next year. You would still have your second next year. So you do still have a premium haul of picks to work with. And I know a lot of people online today was, oh, well, what team is he going to play around if you trade for DeShaun Watson? Well, hold on. Again, $80 million in cap space. So you can still act and sign a number 1 wide receiver. You would still have 2 top 50 picks in the second round. You'd still have 2 thirds. You'd still have 2 fourths. That's still a lot of bodies that could be filled in. And yes, you're not getting an elite level first round kind of a talent here, but that having that kind of assets. And if you told me right now that I can give up 2 first round picks essentially for DeShaun Watson, hell yeah, I would just say I would have guessed that it would probably take 4 first round picks to do it, to be completely honest with you, because that's how good of a player he is. Here's his cap hits for the 2021 season and beyond. Next year, relatively cheap, $15.9 million. Then it goes up to $40.4, $42.4, $34.7, and $32 million, which 15 is a phenomenal deal for a player like Watson because of the skill set that he is. But even if you're saying that you have to give $40 million to a top 5 quarterback, you still do that in today's market. That's a good deal for again, I'll say it again, an elite level quarterback at only 25 years old. This isn't paying someone who's 32 or anything crazy like that. And I know that this team isn't a win now team, but I wouldn't consider that a win now move because of how young he is and how much he is still in his prime and how much he's got another probably 10 years in his career. So yeah, that's really different and really outside the box and unique. So this contract would take him up to his age 30 season, which again, that's still a quarterback's prime. You could re-sign him for another 5 years on top of that, and that brings him to 35. And at that point, who knows? But that could really change things around for this Jets franchise. Last year, or this past year in 2020, during the regular season, he led the league in passing yards with 4,823, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, had the most yards per attempt as well with 8.9, a 112.4 rating. He, again, I can't stress it enough, is one of the best football players in this league and one of the best quarterbacks in this league. Now, again, I'll say it one more time. I would be surprised if the Texans decided to move on from him. But if the Jets could get DeShaun Watson for this offer, then yeah, I would do it. I don't think there's any question. I think it'd be silly to put it to bed because of the who is he going to play with narrative. Well, you still have the cap space. Like the $15 million, let's say that takes you down to what, 65, and then you cut a couple players and that bumps it probably almost closer to that $80 million mark. And then from there, you still have the 2 second-rounders if you're trading for Sam Darnold on the way, which you would be doing if you're acquiring DeShaun Watson. You still have the 2 third-rounders, likely 2 fourths when Leonard Williams resigns as well. They do have draft assets. They do. So even though you're giving up the 2 first-rounders, I would absolutely sign up for it because, again, you're hoping that Zach Wilson or Justin Fields turns into one of these guys. I don't think this is likely. I think we are probably talking about in a few months either Justin Fields or Zach Wilson as the Jets quarterback of the future. But it's a fun exercise to do, and it was a lot of fun online today. So hopefully you were following along on Twitter or on whatever social media platform you use when this rumor was coming out. And I'm sure it's going to be talked about all offseason long. But if it were up to me, I would not trade DeShaun Watson. Hopefully, I mean, I guess if you're a Jets fan, hopefully he wants to be traded to the New York Jets. That would be awesome. But we'll see what happens again. Don't think it's super likely, but it's fun to talk through. So let me know in the comments if you would do this trade. You guys know I would. So get at me on the comments. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you next time.